Hello, everybody. Welcome to the TriStar Gym channel. Today's episode. Today's episode, guys, I'm going to be doing a role narration of my match with Devin Larratt. Devin Larratt, arguably the greatest arm wrestler of all time, the man with the strongest arm in history, certainly the biggest, strongest, most powerful person I have ever rolled with, a true monster in his own right. Athletically, he's incredible. And here's my crazy Muay Thai trainer starting the fight here, starting the match. I'm asking him, what are the rules? He's like, anything goes. Anything goes? I might as well start off with a back elbow. All right, here me and Devin are having a chuckle here. Let's just do submission. Let's just roll just submission. Okay, that sounds good to me. Having some fun here with Devin. Devin, a monstrous human being. Just to show you how incredibly big Devin is. He's about to shake hands here with heavyweight judoka. This is Javad. Javad just came back from Tokyo. He was in the Olympics. He lost to the gold medalist winner in the heavyweight division of judo. He's a phenom in judo from Iran. And he's shaking hands and hugging Devin Larratt here. Look how small a heavyweight judoka looks next to Devin Larratt. It's incredible, the size of this man. You know, Devin is just a monstrous figure. Here's a heavyweight Greco-Roman champion. There's Mustafa in the blue in the background. And look, you can see how much smaller he looks than Devin. And it's just incredible, his size. Look at his hands, his arms, his upper body, his legs. It's incredible how strong he is, how explosive, how powerful. You guys are going to see in this match how he kind of just like throws me around a little. And here's me doing a quick warm-up. I wasn't expecting to... Devin Larratt, known for his mind games. Here he is reminding me he's 3 times my size, which he is, honestly. It's like wrestling your papa when you're a kid, you know. He's just incredibly powerful. I don't know. I can't explain how strong he is. It's really incredible. You guys are going to see once the match starts. I'm being super careful not to let him, A, grab my neck. When you're wrestling somebody so big and so strong, first thing you want to do is, A, don't let him grab your neck, and B, do not let them lift you up off the ground. If they lift you up off the ground, it doesn't matter what techniques you know. He's going to chuck you to the floor and he could really hurt you. Okay, so those are my 2 first priorities, okay? Don't let him grab my neck / head in any way. And do not let him pick me up off the ground. Okay, so here we're hand fighting. You can see the size of his hands. You're going to get a better look at those paws later. Here he does a headlock throw. Now, guys, I'm not going to pause this video very often because I find it maybe get a little bit annoying. But here's a very important point, and I can't scroll over this. This is so important. Devin has judo experience. Okay, he was a military man. He's a power lifter. Excuse me, a strong man, an arm wrestler. And what do they do? Whenever you do jiu-jitsu, you rarely ever get put in a headlock. However, when you go up against a wrestler or a Greco-Roman wrestler or freestyle Greco or a judoka, is in this case, or a strongman, or just somebody who's a street fighter, just a big strong guy, what do? The first thing they do is they headlock you. So as a jiu-jitsu player, you must know everything about headlock escapes. Now look, I have a headlock escape video on jujiclub.com. It's the encyclopedia of headlock escapes. Now I marketed it as a kids video. Why? Because kids always get caught in headlocks. What do kids do? The first thing they do is they grab a headlock. You tell them don't grab headlocks. What's the first thing they do? They grab a headlock. So I teach kids headlock escapes from a young age, and then in the future when they're blue belts, they remember those headlock escapes. However, when you learn jiu-jitsu in your adulthood, you never see the headlock escapes, and then you go up against a strongman or a freestyle wrestler, a Greco wrestler, or a judoka, and they put you in a headlock and they tap you. You must learn your headlock escapes, guys. You've been warned. I'm not going to say much more about it, but you're going to see Devin puts me in 2 headlocks, and both times I turn it into a positive for me. Okay, so here I'm stripping to his back. Lots of little details that I'm not going to go over because, you know, I have a whole video on it, and there's a lot of details to go over. Here I'm on his back. Okay, I'm just going to lower the volume here. My crazy trainer here asking me just to sub him real quick, but it's not going to be that easy. You can notice that I can't even put my legs around his body. I'm unable to put my legs around this man's body. That's how big he is. Okay, he's too big. He's too strong. He's holding my hands. He's ripping my grips apart. Guys, I wrote the book on Control Freak, back control. Okay, I love back control. I study back control. You know, I do back control drills every day. It's such an important position. However, look at his hands right here. If you look at his hands, they're just ripping my grips apart, and I'm unable at this point to put my legs around his body. Okay, I'm still unable. Okay, So here is, I'm fighting hard to put my legs around his body. I'm unable. I'm going to go over the top. I already knew I was going over the top. I'm just trying to fatigue him here. I'm not planning on subbing him with a rear naked choke. I'll tell you why. Because for me to sub him with a rear naked choke, it would take a long time. Okay, I'd have to move him around for a long time. I'd have to burn him out. Here he is in his pose. Here he's posing over me, towering over me, showing me his superior genetics. Okay, now what am I going to do? I knew already I was going to go for a leg lock. I already knew before the match started. I know how this fight's going to end because I'm more experienced in Jiu-Jitsu than he is, of course. This is my world. But I knew I had to foot lock him. I have to leg lock him. Why? To put him in an armbar is going to be extremely difficult. Just the dimensions don't really fit well. Plus, his arms are freakishly strong. Grabbing his neck, taking his back and grabbing his neck is going to be very difficult as well because he's so big. There's the leg lock. Okay, that's the first leg lock. Now we're going to do another match right away after. I'm just going to rewind it right here. My trainer was kind of blocking the footage here, but I'm just going to show you guys how I set it up. Okay, here I'm in a reverse Ashi Garami. You can see here, my legs are backwards. You see, my legs are backwards. I'm not in a standard Ashi. I'm in a reverse Ashi. For those of you who are more beginner, you wouldn't understand what I'm talking about. But for those of you who are more experienced, why would I be in a reverse Ashi? I just found that in that particular instance, reverse Ashis are very good for when you just want to hold on to your opponent. I'm not trying to sub him here. I'm not ready to sub him. I just want to control his leg. I don't want him breaking the contact. I don't want him slipping away, pulling his leg out. I don't want him crushing me with his weight. You could see that my top right leg here, this leg right here, it's blocking his hips. He cannot apply his weight on me. He's trying to can opener. He's trying to pull on my neck. Not going to happen. You know why? I'm blocking his hips. By blocking his hips, it's very difficult for him to generate power in the rest of his body. Okay, so that's why I went to reverse Ashi. And this is a maneuver I learned training with mostly with Eddie Cummings. Now I'm putting on to orthodox Ashi, standard Ashi as John Dunahar would call it. And now that I'm ready to start attacking, you're going to see my right foot push his knee. Watch my right foot. There it is. Okay, look at my right foot. It's pushing his knee. Why? I'm getting his hands on the mat. I want to block his base. His left leg is his base. When I block his base, he's going to have to put his hands on the mat. That's going to stop him from being able to defend. If his hands are on the mat, watch this here. He's falling forward. There you go. His hands. Now my trainer is blocking the view here, but his hands are on the mat and he can't defend his leg. There's the sub. Now, giants like this are easier to footlock than guys regular size. Why? Look at the dimension of their feet. It's actually a longer lever, easier to sub. Okay, the Achilles heel, the weakness in the giant is the footlock. Which brings me to another point. You know, some jiu-jitsu guys don't do footlocks. That's insane. That's insane. If a really good black belt was trying to sub Devin Larratt, he would have an incredibly hard time. Why? Let me tell you why. Because he doesn't attack the lower body. He only does upper body submissions. Go to these really, really strong power guys, Greco guys, and freestyle wrestlers, and try to sub them upper body. You're going to see, you're going to have a very difficult time. Okay, their weakness is the leg lock. Okay, so I'm going to let this play through. And here's another point. Watch in this next round how I actually bring him to the ground. Now, he's going to bring me to the ground, and then we get back up to our feet, and I bring him to the ground. We're going to see that later, but it has to do with a leg lock slide. I slide into a leg lock, Ashi slide. Okay, we're going to see that later. Now, Devin's going to do another headlock attempt here. He's just going to throw me like a baby here. Of course, I'm doing my headlock escapes immediately. I'm going into my 101 headlock escapes. If I did not have my headlock escape game ready here, believe me, I would have tapped. Okay, guys, there's a lot of details of what I'm doing here. I'm grabbing a one-on-one. You see my right hand is grabbing his right arm. That's what's going to allow me to flip him over. Think about how much leverage there is for me to flip over such a big, strong, athletic guy. There's got to be so much technique involved. And here's me grabbing a one-on-one. I talk about this in my Jiu-Jitsu Club video, Headlock Escapes. You have to see it. I'm telling you, I would have gotten tapped here. If I don't know my Headlock Escapes from here, I would have gotten tapped. Okay? So here, I'm in his back. I'm going to make my way to getting to the top position. And now is a good time for me to fatigue him. But you'll see, like, Devin's, he could just bench press me off him. Pretty much, you know. He's kind of tickling my beard here, having a little fun with me. Now, normally, if I was in this position in a prolonged match, I would take my time here. I'd want to bake him. You know, I'd want to fatigue him. I'd want to just kind of make him carry me, just shut him down. But because, you know, it's got to be, you know, we're filming here. It's got to be entertaining. I'm going to try to pass and sub him. Okay, but you're going to see when I pass him, when I do eventually pass. Now, he doesn't play guard. He doesn't do jiu-jitsu, guys. Don't forget. He's a strong man. He's an arm wrestler. This is not his thing. So obviously he's just going to try to power out and do what he feels is right. Okay. Now he's done some judo in the past, but that doesn't make him a seasoned grappler. He's just a very powerful, athletic guy. Okay. Now if he was a seasoned grappler, this would be scary. Very scary. So here I am. I'm in side control. And you guys know I love side control. I love to smash from side control. I love to crush people from side control. I like to apply my weight. Here's me doing spiral pressure. If you guys watch my Control Freak video on Jiu-Jitsu Club, you'd know that I'm doing spiral pressure right now. He's not getting up from here. Okay. But then I get a little bit greedy and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start attacking him. And let me try to sub him. And here's more spiral pressure. I'm just crushing him. I'm saying, you know what? I'm going to bake this guy. Here's me being greedy. Here's me letting go of the spiral pressure and trying to entertain you guys, trying to get to a sub. Okay. And here's the right arm of Devin Larratt. You could see. I can put the volume here. Devin Larratt having fun on the bottom here. That is that's arguably history's strongest arm. Right there. That right arm you see. And I'm trying to put my weight on that right arm. And I'm like, you know what? History's strongest arm. Okay, let me crush it with my weight. Well, guess what? He's going to easily bench press me off him. Watch this. I have my hips up in the air. This is a big mistake I'm making here. I'm trying to be greedy here. I'm trying to be aggressive. Watch here. You can see me pinning his other arm. I'm using the frame. This is also in the Control Freak video, Side Control Volume 1. Beautiful control. You can see it's working beautifully. It's the other side that was a problem. Here's him arm wrestling me over, using that arm wrestling power just to chuck me over. Now, there's another very interesting part in this video. Let me rewind here. I don't know if you guys saw it. This will be in Control Freak Volume 2. It's not out yet, but Control Freak Volume 2. Let me show you guys something here. This is what I call a straight pin, okay? Or a stiff arm pin. Look, I'm controlling the world's strongest arm with a straight pin here. So I call it a straight pin because, your arm is straight. It's all about keeping your arm straight. And then obviously you're pinning him. Okay, so I'm grabbing his wrist. I'm pinning him. That's why I call it the straight pin or the stiff arm pin. You got to keep your arm stiff. Now look, I'm holding down history's strongest arm. Okay, like it or not, this man has the history's strongest arm. And I'm pinning him down. What does that tell you? That tells you and me that that's an A+ jiu-jitsu move. Why? Because the world's strongest arm can't come out of there. Look, he's pinned. That arm is pinned. And I always teach my students this maneuver. It's a fantastic way to control a human being. A straight arm pin. Okay? A stiff arm pin. I refer to it often as a straight pin. Okay? And you can see I was controlling that arm quite well, quite easily. That tells you that's an A+ move. Okay, let me fast forward here. Okay, more side control. And there's my big mistake where I come and I put my weight on the strongest arm in history using my hips here. That's not going to be enough. That's not the best way to pin somebody's arm. And you know what? I pay for it. Here's him arm wrestling my whole body off him. Okay, so my whole body versus that arm is not strong enough. Okay, now we're back up to our feet. What am I going to do here? Guys, for those of you out there who are still not training leg locks, if you're my size, I would tell you, I would bet against you. If you don't do leg locks and you tell me, hey, I'm going to go with Devin Larratt, I'm going to go with one of these strong man, mountain man, or whatever strong man you're fighting, and you tell me I'm going to sub the guy upper body, I would tell you, you know what, I'm going to bet against you. I really think it's going to be extremely difficult. However, if you're a leg locker, you tell me I'm going up against one of these power guys, I would say, oh, their biggest weakness is their ankles, their legs. Their legs are more clumsy and they're very easy to footlock because of the size of their feet. Okay, it makes a long lever. A long lever is easy to bend. So here's me. I'm pushing here. This is the Ashi slide. This is going to be in volume 2 of Ashi Infinity. Okay, Ashi Infinity volume 1 is out. I have one version of Ashi slide in there. The next volume is going to have 2 versions of the Ashi slide, including this one that I just did here. We're in a collar tie. Look how much taller he is. Look, the taller they are, the more space I have to slide underneath. Okay, so it's just easier for me to slide under a big athletic strong man. Okay, so if you try to double leg him here, if you try to underhook him or body lock him, forget about it. He's going to just chuck you off the mat. Okay, we have to slide into leg locks. Okay, we could also shoot low singles. There are other options. Okay, there are scissor slides kind of thing, but this is one of the top options you have, and it works beautifully, and it leads you right into a sub. Okay, here's me sliding in. My partner's hands are on the mat, and there's my sub. Okay, now I want to thank Devin Larratt for being such a sport. Okay, this is not his game. Me and him are both tired right now. Yep, I'm saying it's like wrestling your papa. Yeah, he's got over 100 pounds on me. He's a monster, guys. I'm just going to replay a few little highlights here. You guys can, I'll just give you my final closing thoughts. I want to thank Devin Larratt for being such a sport. Now, don't forget, he's not a grappler. He's not a wrestler. He did some judo, but he's an arm wrestler. That's his sport. Of course, if I went into arm wrestling, he'd beat me with his pinky, right? Obviously, I'm nowhere near eligible to compete in his sport. However, he was a sport enough to come and compete in mine. And we had a lot of fun. I want to thank him for being such a good sport. I love the fact that Devin just tries new things. And, you know, he just had a boxing fight recently. He has a heart of gold. He has an arm that's legendary. He's a beautiful human being. He's a great person. I want to thank him so much for jumping on the mat with me. I had an incredible experience. You know why? I love seeing what jiu-jitsu does. How does jiu-jitsu? I've never wrestled anybody this big and this strong. And I've wrestled NFL players, NHL players, like every type of athlete. I've never trained with a guy so strong, so explosive, so powerful. You know, I've maybe wrestled a few people even bigger than him, but not as athletic, nowhere near as powerful. His grip strength, his arm strength, his core strength, he's just an incredible athlete. And he's a marvel. The man is a marvel. And thank you for allowing me to test my jiu-jitsu on you. And I feel that when you wrestle big, strong guys like that, you have to know your headlock escapes. You have to know your leg lock attacks. You're not going to sub them upper body very often. It's very difficult, especially not in a few minutes. Now, if my strategy was just to sub him upper body, it would have took a long time. In my opinion, it could have took 20, 30 minutes. It could have been a very, very difficult thing to do. Now, I know a lot of you guys are going to be like, hey, why didn't you do armbar situation? See if you can armbar him. Guys, I'll be honest with you. Even if I put him in armbar, I would never risk his career. I would never even try to armbar him. Why? First of all, I don't think I could. It would be very difficult. I'd have to fatigue him, like I said. But two, even if I had him in a full armbar, imagine I tweak his elbow or I injure him. It could hurt his career. I would never risk this man's career. He's such a beautiful person, such a great man. I would never try to put him in armbar. My whole plan was to put him in a rear naked choke if he gets tired, or leg lock him. And of course, when I did the leg lock, I was being extra careful. But I would definitely never attack his livelihood, i.e. his arms. Okay, so guys, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was educational. I hope you guys had fun. Check out the original video. If you didn't like all the pausing, I'll put it in the description. And see you all in the next episode. Thank you.